Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Jake Gordon and Alex Lord. Alex, you just wrote an article that's about to come up. CBS Sports analyst Will Brinson has the Falcons not only winning 10 games, 1.5 games over their Vegas win total, but winning the NFC South and hosting a playoff game for the first time since 2016. How realistic do you think that is?
Very realistic. Just like you said, it's on the site. Be sure to check that out, sportstalkatl.com. Pumping out a bunch of Falcons gear or content. I think it's very possible. The division is terrible. We have the AFC South, which is an equally terrible division, and the NFC North, which is projected to be one of the worst divisions in football. So 10 wins is very possible. Our win total is 8.5. So 9-10 wins is certainly in the realm of possibilities. What's more shocking to me about this projection from Will Brinson, he's got the Saints finishing third in the division behind the Panthers and the Falcons. That's shocking. I don't see that happening. I mean, the Panthers they're rebuilding still. I mean, listen, Brighton, go ahead.
My thing is with this season is, if not now, when? You have the easiest schedule in the NFL on paper, at least so far to begin the year. You have all the pieces. You've spent all the money. This is about as close to a finished product as we're going to get. And if it's a Desmond Ridder problem, then you know where the problem is. But yes, if not now, when? There's really not many excuses left to be made. I mean, maybe if just everybody gets injured and all that, but you've said you built some depth. I guess we're going to see.
In my opinion, I think the Panthers, Saints, and Falcons are all relatively even. I know the odds are like plus 250 Falcons, plus 145 Saints, plus 400 Panthers, but the Panthers had a pretty good team, and I think Bryce Young isn't going to take long to adapt to the NFL lifestyle. And I know their weapons aren't great. I'm a little worried about that, but I like what they have around Bryce Young. I really do.
It's not
they had some
about
good
Bryce Young. It's more about there's a whole new regime. So it's going to take time for the regime and the roster to mesh.
That's absolutely true. But I think the big thing that we both agree on is Dennis Allen. I mean, Dennis Allen is a joke. He's a joke of a head coach. This isn't Sean Payton's Saints anymore. And I think people get what the Saints used to be. They used to be able to pull 10 wins out of their butt. Like, it was like no matter who was there, no matter what kind of roster deficiencies they had, Drew Brees and Sean Payton were able to bring it up. And even when Drew Brees retired, they still had Sean Payton, and he was able to create something out of nothing with whoever. I guess, was it Jameis playing quarterback or Taysom Hill playing quarterback? It didn't matter. The thing is, it was just like he could do whatever because he's that good of a head coach. Dennis Allen is not that guy. And I don't care that, and I don't think Derek Carr is this savior that's going to come in and save a roster that's been much worse. It's much worse than it was 2-3 years ago. This is one of the worst rosters they've had in comparative years.
Yeah, in that same breath, Pete Carmichael is their offensive coordinator, and he is terrible. I mean, if you know any Saints fans or in Saints circles, they hate Pete Carmichael because he's a terrible offensive coordinator. Derek Carr is not the kind of guy who can make up for that deficiency at offensive coordinator. He needs a guy to help him elevate his game. Their offense is not going to be good. Derek Carr is the best quarterback in the division, but it's not going to help that offense. It'll be pedestrian this year.
Yeah, I believe Alvin Kamara is he up for suspension? Has he been suspended? That's still a
thing. Him and Joe Mixon are up for suspension every year and somehow keep playing. they're yeah. I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to comment on those kind of things, but it does kind of seem like there's a new issue with those two players every 8 weeks, and it's like, you're good at football, you can play.
I don't see any of these teams head and shoulders above the other. But I do think the Falcons are running low on excuses at this point. You've rebuilt the defense. You know, if the personnel moves aren't right, then that's an indictment on the team. I think Arthur Smith is making these calls. I think Arthur Smith is running this show for the most part.
I'll take it.
You've dedicated to this old school type of football. Like you've dedicated to building this old school smash mouth style team, and it better work.
We're at the end of this episode here. I'm going to go ahead and just be bold. For those of you just joining us, the Falcons are making the playoffs. Like the Falcons, I should write that at the bottom. That should be our banner right now. The Falcons are making the playoffs this year. I am very confident in that. And I am not one of these guys who's always like, oh, the Falcons are going 10-7. I've been like, no, we're going 3-13 every year. I did think we'd be a little bit better than people thought, and we were last year. We are making the playoffs this year. This schedule is a joke. Desmond Ridder, I have a little bit of confidence in just to be able to pull the strings that Arthur Smith is going to make things so easy for him. Those weapons that they have are legit. The offensive line has a chance to be the best in football, and I believe the defense can be at least average.
Listen, this is by far the best roster Arthur Smith has ever had a head coach, and he's put up back-to-back 7-10 win seasons. I mean, it's playoff or bust, folks. Like, this is put up or shut up time. You know, you spent all this money in free agency. The defense is completely revamped. It's going to look like a totally different unit. You got all your pieces on offense, 4 starters returning along the offensive line. Desmond Ridder has no excuse not to put this team in the postseason.
Yep. We are going to the playoffs, folks. You heard it here at Sports Talk ATL first. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow.